Hello, everyone. This is Chris and Lizzo.
We are a brother-sister team.
That's right. And on behalf of the Charcot-Marie Tooth Association, a.k.a. CMTA, we are coming at you.
Coming at you from coast to coast. I'm in California and Chris is in Vermont.
That's right. And this is another episode of our podcast name. What, Lizzo?
CMT for me. CMT, the number 4, me.
That's right. CMT for me, a community-focused podcast dedicated to those with CMT, giving them a voice in the community to share their stories, good or bad, successes, challenges, and much, much more.
You know, Chris, talking about the community, I'm so grateful to our CMT community for reaching out, sharing their stories, having fun with the podcast. The caliber of people we've had and we've met on this show is just incredible. CMT is such a challenging disease, but these folks we've interviewed these past few years see these challenges as stepping stones to a better life. Wouldn't you agree, Chris? Dude, I'm talking about they're using the stepping stones to a better. Hey, Chris.
Yo, whoa.
What are you doing?
Just playing drums. You remember I'm an accomplished drummer, right?
I never
remember my sold out shows.
Accomplished drummer together when I thought about you.
Oh yeah, I was in the marching band, right? In 5th grade.
You didn't do the
Played
drums.
the snare drum. Oh, yeah, I did.
No, you did. You
forgot.
did the trombone or something.
I don't know. Anyways,
I don't know.
I play all sorts of musical instruments. I'm really good. Awesome. And but I'll give you a preview of that later.
Yeah, okay. I'll wait. I'm just so choked up. I don't even know what to say. I can't even believe how
with
talented
emotion,
you are.
Right? Yeah, exactly. You're ready to cry with emotion.
Well, you're going to have a lot in common with our guest today, Ricky Biagiola. He's a drummer. I know it's a cool name, Biagiola.
It is. I like it.
I don't even know if I'm saying it right. It's a Ricky Biagiola, and he's a drummer of a very well-known group, The Outsiders, who sold over 1 million copies of their 1966 song, Time Won't Let Me.
Well, folks, go and look up that song. We are going to play parts of it here at the end. And we will also have some recording here of Ricky playing the drums. So very excited to have you, Ricky. Thanks so much for coming on our podcast. How you doing?
I'm just fine, and thank you for having me.
You got it. Of course.
So, Ricky, I think you've reformed this group. So that was a 1966 hit. So, I mean, I saw you, I don't know, it was a black and white video on YouTube. And you're up there. It doesn't even look like you have black glasses and you're just like,
oh, yeah,
whoa.
He looked cool.
Yeah, you looked really cool. And then the drummer was so cute. And there was a dude with the drum and his hair just kind of funneled over into his head. Do you know what I'm talking about? Where were you when that was filmed?
That was filmed on, well, you have to be almost a senior citizen to remember this. That was a television show called Shindig, which was on at the same time as another similar show called Hullabaloo. So that would have been in the middle 60s. I don't even remember the location. It was probably New York.
That's exciting. It was really cool watching that. And so now you're reforming this band with different people, calling it The Outsiders also, right?
It is. Back in, excuse me, in 2017, I got a call from, tell me if I'm getting too lengthy here. I got a call from a promoter in Indiana that asked me if I was interested in reforming The Outsiders because he himself had some interest in presenting, I guess they would call it a heritage group, but at the time there was none. So I had been playing all along locally here in Cleveland in Ohio. And because of the interest that he expressed, I put together a new Outsiders band after 56 years.
Wow.
And we took up, unfortunately, 3 of the original members have passed away. Just myself and Bill, the guitar player, is left somewhere in Tennessee. We stay in touch by phone, but I don't even know where he is exactly. He's kind of a recluse. He has a little cabin in the forest somewhere, but he prefers it that way. But again, he's the only one left, and we do keep in touch. like I said, the other three members had passed, and I remember them well, and we were friends.
Yeah, no, and that's great. It's so cool that you continue to play drums as well. And I think during the pre-interview, right, did you start playing drums maybe around the age of 14 or so, 12 or 14?
Well, at 14, that was like probably the first job I played that we got paid.
Oh,
I started taking lessons at 11,
uh-huh.
and I took lessons for a couple of years from the same gentleman, and that's where I met a couple of guitar students that were a year older than I was. So they would have been in the ninth grade. I would have been in the seventh grade. But that's when that started. We got together probably at my mother's house, like it always was, and we learned, I don't know, 3 or 4 songs, and I think we went to play somewhere and nobody sang, so we played this same 3 or 4 songs over and over for about an hour and a half. So
That's good. And what attracted you to the drums and not like guitar or something? Like, what was the connection there?
well, it's hard to say. I had an early like for music, and a lot of it was varied. I would say that right about that time, which would put us in the late 50s, rock and roll music started to become popular on the radio, and there was always a rhythm thing, a beat that I felt connected to, attracted to, and tried to copy. And my dad and my mom were very not accommodating. They're very supportive in sending me to the local music school to take lessons. And
Oh, cool.
So your dad died at a very young age, right? You were like 11.
That's correct.
Gosh, that's tragic. How did you and your mom, did you and your mom talk about it and you decided to move on? And how was that?
I'm sorry to say, at that young age, I didn't realize the impact that was going to come shortly after. I kind of just carried on, and my mother eventually sold my father's hair salon.
Oh,
and we moved closer to my mother's brothers, my uncles.
Okay.
And not that they were so supportive either, but it was better to be for my mother to be close to her family. And when she needed a hand, of course, they would help her out. But yeah, we talked about that before. Not that it's the story of my life, but my mother and 4 brothers came from Italy. Their parents passed away when they were young, and they got sent back to Italy to an orphanage. And they grew up in the orphanage until they were old enough to come to the U.S. So
Wow.
all kinds of history stories.
Yeah.
Two of my mother's brothers could not come back to the U.S. as hard as she tried to contact the State Department, because they were forced to serve in Mussolini's army, and as a result, they were not able to come to the U.S. as immigrants. So 2 brothers came, 2 brothers stayed, and my mother was able to be here. So anyway, it's just
it's a crazy story, but it's an interesting story, though.
It is. Did the 2 brothers ever make it to the U.S. after they served in the military? They passed?
No, they passed away in Italy. The 2 brothers here served in the American Army when they became old enough. So my mother was the oldest of the siblings.
Yeah.
And she came in 1948. My dad came a year earlier.
Yeah.
And
Chris, can you imagine picking up your family and moving to a different country and
not
starting anew?
No.
I mean, I just can't.
I don't even speak the language. Where do you, what support do you have?
Start?
I mean, it's pretty impressive.
You use a beauty salon. Your mother was a seamstress.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So he turned out okay. And he turned out okay, right?
Yeah. All right.
I mean,
okay. He's fine.
You
So,
turned out
Ricky,
great.
tell us a little bit about your CMT. What type of CMT do you have?
I was diagnosed in 2016 by Dr. Shai at the University of Iowa as type 2F.
Type
And
2F.
prior to that, it was just I guess it was called a motor neuropathy with conduction block.
Yeah, so this is what they said, which I don't even know what this means. He was diagnosed at the Cleveland Clinic with multifocal neuropathy with conduction block, whatever that means.
Yeah, what is that?
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's nothing.
Right.
It's not what he has.
The doctors here are not specialists.
No. Of course not.
And here in Cleveland. So, and I mentioned to you prior that I had the fortunate connection to get to the University of Iowa to go through the testing there. That didn't come until way later, after I had been, how can I put it? I wouldn't say suffering from CMT, but I had contracted the weakness and all that way years before. Probably I'm going to go back to 1998 is when it started to seriously cause me.
So you were an athlete, Ricky.
Issues.
How did you were you thinking like, oh my God, what's going on with my body? Or did you say, oh, what's going on with my body? I don't care. I'll just keep going.
No, I was bothered. I was troubled because after playing music for so many years, and then the time came when I was unable to support my family by playing music. I looked for work, and I did not pursue an education back then. So I did construction work. That was the easiest way for me to make a living. And of course, having a weakness and a balance issue, trying to do construction work and be on ladders and things. So it was tough. And no, I didn't know what was happening. I went to, like I said, the neurologists here were sympathetic, but couldn't pinpoint anything or recommend anything. So it was just kind of make your life adjustment, whatever it takes. And we'll see you again in 6 months. We can see if it gets any worse or not.
So your comment, just so I was clear, it's so did you have a dream to, like you referenced, support your family through music? Like, was that one of the dreams is you really wanted to be a musician to support your family, but then the CMT actually made that challenging for you?
Actually, it's just, I liked having a family. I had a family at 20 years old, and the music was as important as it was to me at that time. It was more important to figure out a way to support them. So I always played. I always managed to have somebody contact me or my own friends around town after the Outsiders sort of disbanded and lost popularity, as groups do. I played. I worked full time and I played, and it was tough because again, I didn't really have any higher education, so it was just a typical blue collar guy from Cleveland.
Wow.
Ooh. So what are tell us a little bit about 2F, and maybe Lizzo, you have some insight there.
Yeah,
how is that different than 1A, and what are I mean, it's progressive, right? But what do we find in terms of the population differences? And is 2F pretty rare? Is that rare?
It's a lot less common, like you mentioned, 1A
than 1A. Sure.
I really, my heart goes out to some of the folks that post on the CMT chat on the forum. They hurt. Their feet hurt. They have pain. They can't sleep. They have breathing issues. I don't know how I ended up being blessed enough that my type 2F does not cause me any pain. I have muscle loss. I have muscle atrophy, legs and forearms and my hands. That's why I wear gloves most of the time.
Okay.
I'm blessed that it doesn't hurt, and I feel so bad for people that say I fell down because my knee folded and my leg gave out or whatever. But 2F is, yeah, it's not as common as most of the others, and I'm fortunate that way. I have the sensory part of it.
Okay.
I can feel. I get cold easily, as you can imagine, hands and feet. But again, it's such an odd. There's so many odd variations of this. I don't know how there's subtypes make you dizzy trying to figure out how many twos or threes there are. And
I know. So
and
it's interesting, Ricky, that we think of CMT as a motor sensory disorder, but it's really great to know that some people don't have that sensory dysfunction. So you can feel and you're not losing sensation, you don't have pain, but it's a fully motor dysfunction where it affects your muscles and walking and movement, right? And your hands and atrophy.
Right.
So it's really, really interesting. And do you know, so I read that it was autosomal dominant, meaning that someone could have passed it on to you and you have the capacity, or you could pass it on to your kids, like a 50-50 chance. Is that what you were told? And do you know if anybody in your family having CMT from your background or your kids? Or
I would be heartbroken if any of my children started to display symptoms. Fortunately, they have not. And beyond that, I don't know if it would go. I guess it would skip a generation if it decided to. My daughter is 54 years old, and her children, we mentioned that too before, they're very athletic, and they don't show any symptoms at all. Lois is my second wife. Bless her. We've been married for 41 years.
wow.
And as far as symptoms in my family, no, I'm the only one. Even when we traveled back to Italy to visit my mother's family there, cousins, nephews, no one really displays any type of there's no conditions. It just happened to pick on me. So I'm grateful for that. And here in the US, I have two cousins left and they are fine. They don't show any weakness either. So somehow,
I wanted to go back to something you said, because a lot of people think that CMT can skip generations, but it doesn't. But somebody might, and people think that because it might be just a mild case and people don't think that person has, and they don't get diagnosed, then it shows up worse in the next generation. So there's no rhyme or reason, that next generation is affected more or less, but it doesn't skip generations. So that's a really interesting thing to tell people, because people think that all the time, right?
I'm glad to know. And after all this time having it, I heard that it wouldn't do that. So I'm grateful again.
Yeah.
My children are not distributing. They're not showing any signs.
That's great. Yeah. Great. And have you had go ahead, Chris, go ahead.
No, I was just thinking, I mean, you can finish, Lizzo. I can go down this other path.
No, I just wanted to finish with the family piece. Have you ever had discussions with your wife, Lois, about what if my kids had it, or you just kind of, or have they asked you about it, your children? Like, why, are your hands like that? Why are your legs like that?
You know what, Liz? My son is an RN, a new RN. My daughter, like I said, is a hairdresser. She's 54 years old. She said, you know what? She said, if I start to feel it, she says, we'll deal with it then.
There you go.
It's not my kids are strong-minded, and my son, especially being in the healthcare field, he says, different. Now, my son is different mother, is Lois's son with me. My daughter is my ex-wife's daughter. So neither one of them is displaying. So Lois had no part in this. So it's just for me. But no, there's no apprehension. There's none of that.
That's awesome. Well,
Everyone's
they got that
good.
from you, that great attitude.
That's what I think. So what I was thinking about, Ricky, is if my math is correct and from the pre-interview, it sounded like you started to kind of have symptoms or ankle related issues in 1990. I think that's what you said. So you were already married to Lois at that time, right? Because you've been married 40 years. So tell us a little bit about that journey. You know, what type of role did she play for you as you were starting to feel these symptoms, and or once you finally came to the diagnosis by Shaw? What type of role did Lois play for you, and was that important as you navigated through this?
Well, first, of course, I have to say she couldn't be more supportive, but she's creative minded as well. So if I said, at the time from 1988 until well, for that first 5 years, 1988, I was a meter reader for the electric company, which had me walking miles and miles a day.
Gosh, right.
Wintertime, summertime, residential neighborhoods, industrial neighborhoods, all that. So forgot where I was going with it. Oh, if I say I twisted my ankle today, I stepped on a small stone and my ankle went like this. So she says, well, okay, why don't you try higher work boots? I said, yeah, so that's a good idea. It happened a little more frequently. I went to the high work boots. Then that still wasn't supportive enough to keep my ankle from rolling if I stepped on something uneven. So she said, maybe try wrapping your ankles with ace bandages, around bottom of the foot, around the ankle. So that Lois worked at the hospital. She's been there 42 years. Same hospital my son works at here in University Hospital. But anyways, she always came up with an idea. So, and even now, I really rely on her for a little bit of innovativeness, a little bit of vision about how to. I know you can't do this way because of the way your hands are or the way your feet are. Or why don't we try this? So yeah, she gets it, and I'm blessed.
So
My
she's
family
very
gets it.
solution oriented, huh?
Oh yeah.
Well, that must have been great, right? And continues to be great having that relationship, right, where you can bounce those ideas off of someone and get their input.
Yeah, it is great with her. My working career was not so great because I couldn't have chose a worse occupation to have what I have and try and function as a construction worker. It was just awful. But anyway, I was always the guy that lips or the guy that needs help carrying the ladder, and that caused me issues year after year. So
how did that make you feel? How'd that make you feel when you're in the work environment and, oh, hey, help Ricky with the ladder? Or did people poke fun at you, or were they, how'd you feel in that environment?
First, it was awful. I have to
I
tell
imagine.
you. I had union jobs. Not to get into all that sort of thing, but I was okay with the power company. I was okay walking to read meters. We got promoted to, I think I mentioned, to residential installations, which is the pipe on the house and the meter, the electric meter. But it also involved climbing wooden poles, 30 or 35 feet, and stringing the wire from the house to the pole. So anyway, I was able to do that. That would have been a career job, quite honestly, except that there was a conglomerate, electrical conglomerate merged with this power company here, and they saw fit to lay off the field workers, kept their own, and laid off the Cleveland field workers. So I had to find another job. I went to the electricians union. Was okay for a while, but when you have a union job like that, and I mentioned that before too, here I am, 52 years old, starting sort of a new line of work, even though I was familiar with the outdoor part of it. I wasn't familiar with, I had to learn the indoor part of it, which is fuse boxes, plugs, switches, breakers.
Yeah, I know all about that stuff.
Yeah. So
Does
anyway,
not.
24 amp, 22, whatever it takes. 9 volt,
yeah,
10 volt,
220,
yeah.
221.
Whatever. Doesn't matter.
Anyway, I was easily disposed of whenever it got to be an issue. So, well, you know what? We're paying this guy the same as we pay the guy that's 30 years old and 6'2" and real strong. So we'll find a way to send him back. We have to lay him off. So my working career as an electrician in the union was very, very sporadic. And I managed. Lois was working again at the time at the hospital, so she carried as much load as I did. And when I got to where I could get out and retire as early as I could,
Yeah,
I had to do it. I had to do it because it just wasn't. And when you asked how I felt shitty. Forgive me.
yeah.
But
No, it's fine. I'm sure. And I can just, it's hard for me to imagine. And then I'm thinking about you with Lois, right? Because that can really shatter your confidence, I would imagine. And nice,
you know what?
probably having her around to be that positive person to lean on, right? When those times are tough.
That's exactly right. Exactly right. She's a good supporter, and all through this, in spite of the balance issues and the muscle weakness, I was still able to play the drums. So at least I
Awesome.
had at the time when the being a career musician ended and I had to start working, I still managed to play. We played on the weekends and not terribly frequently, but a couple times a month, sometimes 3 times. Um, and that sort of backed me up. It backed up my brain as to know that I wasn't going to be completely an invalid. I got some terrible diagnoses over the years from doctors here,
Like what?
but sorry.
Like what? Like what would they say to you? This is like part of the story of a lot of people with CMT. They're given these like horrible outcomes or futures, and people fall into that when it's not even true.
Yeah, well, things like well, I don't think you're going to end up in a wheelchair. Or at first, I thought you had Lou Gehrig's disease. Um, it's not to disparage the physicians here in
Oh yeah.
Cleveland,
Oh,
Well, they're
but
learning as well. So
you know, like I said, there were no specialists here for CMT, and I searched out the head of the neurological department, and again, a nice guy, and
yeah.
we did the tests. We did all the tests, and it came up multifocal motor neuropathy with conduction block because of that. But anyway, unlike so many others, I'm blessed not to have pain. But you can see I can't willfully straighten my fingers. I can't willfully move my ankles or toes. They're there. I could move them with my hands,
Right.
but I can't look. I could stare at my feet all day and they would never move if I tried. So my heart goes out to people that actually are hurting. Troubles be. I'm sorry, forgive me. I don't want to get emotional. But anyway,
it's okay.
My best to all the folks that post on the forum, on the chat, and someone posted that how do you handle something or other, or my family thinks I'm faking, or there's so many ridiculous, these poor people, some of them, they don't have the, what do you call it? Support system. They don't have people that care about them enough to be helpful and loving. Breaks my heart.
Ricky, I was going to tell you during the pre-interview, it was hard for us to get to really understand who you are, right? From the emotional standpoint, you actually have such a big heart,
Does.
You do. You're very emotional, caring about other individuals. And, it's, I don't know, I guess it's a nice attribute that you have there in terms of your feeling towards others. So very
Thank you.
heartwarming. So
So Ricky, coworkers were giving you a hard time. Was there anything in your mind that kept you going instead of falling back into depression? Like, what would you tell the kids today that are just like struggling and they can't do this or that, and they're being pulled out of this or that? How did you keep strong, or what kept you strong to keep going and to get where you are today?
Ooh, well, my responsibilities as a father and as a husband uh, came first. So whatever I had to deal with at work, of course, I would bring it home, and I would speak to Lois about it. But it's easy for me to say, you young folks out there, you got to find the courage. You have to find a little spirit, a little faith. They can hear that every day,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not really it's not going to be helpful. It's helpful to me. That's how I managed to find the heart and the courage to carry on. Uh, it was my work. Like I said, my working career was very disappointing. And it wasn't for my lack of attitude or personality. I mean, I would hear, everybody likes you. You're a nice guy, but you're not able to keep up. So I'm going to have to lay you off, or uh, something to that effect.
Right.
Um, that was unfortunately the last 10 years of my life before I retired. That was what I had to deal with. Before that, I could manage well enough.
Mm-hmm.
My CMT had sort of what's the word? It stopped progressing
Okay.
for a good long while, and I was able to deal with it. Like I said, working outdoors, a part of a two-man crew. I wasn't on a construction site, a building or a housing development where people would be all over would be seeing me. I was with one guy. One guy was understanding enough,
Mm-hmm.
but I forgot where I was going with this. But
Oh,
you
all
asked me
good.
about. You know what? My advice is only my advice as a non-healthcare person, not a physician, not a nurse. Only that um, it's that's one of the hardest things I would say, is to find the strength in your own mind, in your own heart, to accept the fact that those are stairs over there, no railing. I got to go around this way because I know my limitations, or not to just sit down and say I can't go any farther because I can't get to where I need to be without help from somebody or something. So that's all here,
Mm-hmm.
and that's all how much courage you have. Uh, I'm not a I don't know if you call me a tough guy or a fighter, but I think I have enough inner strength to deal with it. And even now, I mean, yeah, now I've had it for 40 years, or how many years.
Yeah.
But for somebody that is realizing it's a progressively weakening thing, and they have that to look forward to, that's tough to find the mental strength to accept that and make your life adjustments. It's life. Chris, we talked about that. Life
Yep.
adjustments. My hands are weak, so I wear gloves. I use a
Right.
cane inside my house because at any given time, if I'm not holding on to one thing, I don't have good balance. So
Mm-hmm.
whether it's a wall or a kitchen cabinet or a doorknob or whatever, we have a little place. We have a little 2-bedroom condominium, and I could get around and know where things are. But yeah, it's conscience. Yeah, not
Yep.
conscience, consciousness, knowing that uh, maneuvering during the day, what it's going to take, what you can see ahead of you to prepare. Well, there's a dip in the parking lot. I'm going to go around that, so I don't have to walk through it.
Right.
When I'm outdoors, I use two. They're like crutches.
Yeah.
One is not enough, so I can avoid curbs if I have to walk a little farther instead of trying to step up a curb, you find the ramp that goes up, and or railing or all that. So yeah, that awareness comes, but back to the mental thing, it's certainly it's challenging, and there are some days when it couldn't be more discouraging, but still drawing breath. You have people that care about you, and for their sake and for your own.
Beautiful. Thank you for that. Yeah. It's so
Ricky,
thoughtful.
I was wondering as well, just thinking, going back to drumming and drums, kind of, I'm trying to think of how to ask this question, but more it's, what role has playing the drums kind of played in your life? You talk to some folks about music, and that, music takes them to another place or helps them deal with certain things. And I'm kind of asking a lot of questions. I'm curious how you feel when you're playing the drums, and, and maybe it's just not drums, but music in general, right? What role does that play in your life, or has played in your life?
From an early age, it was a serious interest of mine. And I was blessed with the talent to learn and copy what I might hear, try to reproduce it as I heard it, authentically from people that performed in the first place. And if I heard something I really liked, I would try it. My parents indulged me. I had a set of drums at age 12, and real ones. And I spent a lot of time copying the people that I admired. I guess that's a good way to put it.
Okay.
I've always, ever since then, I've always played in one form or another. And again, I hope I'm not coming off as a person with an ego, because I absolutely do not have an ego. I know I have confidence, Chris, here in town in Cleveland, from my history with the Outsiders, being a part of a national act. It wasn't my act, but I was part of a national act. A lot of people know me by reputation, if not the fact that we're friends. And that's why I was always able to play here in town. And so now, more recently, we're able to travel again. We're able to do concerts and tours. We have one coming up on the Saturday before Halloween, on the 28th, in Columbus, Ohio. But it was an interest of mine. I was blessed with a talent to accompany the interest, and it played a big part in my personal confidence, I guess. What later on, what I was lacking in physical strength, and even today, I think I have enough common sense to figure things out. I have enough. I would say, again, I'm talking about myself, but I have enough heart. I have enough heart and support around me to figure out how something has to be done. Whether it's, how should we finance this thing we need? Should we how do we pay for this car? Do we go to this bank, or do we go to the credit union? So those are all things that are part of, to me, as a part of a person's courage. Common sense is don't buy that. You won't be able to pay for it next year, and you have 4 more years to pay. So it's being an adult, being responsible. And like I said, I was always responsible. My family came first, and I love my children and my grandchildren, and everybody's doing well. And it's very heartwarming to hear that we were their example for to carry on with their own families. And
Do you think the
just,
drums, and we asked you this in the previous interview, helped your legs and your hands not atrophy as quickly or as fast? It kept them
Sure.
strong.
I think so. I see again on the CMT chat, uh, most often, people that are in the healthcare field or that are aware of it say you have to keep moving. Lois and I go to the YMCA twice a week as
good.
as a routine, and again, I cannot, as hard as I try, I can't build up any muscle tissue. If I decide I get frustrated someday and I use too much weight, or I use too many, I do something too hard or too long, I pay for it the next day. So that frustration of saying I'm going to do this until it starts to help me, well, it doesn't help.
Right.
At my particular condition is I only hope to maintain that. I try to keep myself from getting any weaker.
Mhm.
And I have to, again, mentally, someone might have to accept the fact that it's not coming back.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
try to keep it from getting any weaker. Unfortunately, that's the best you can do, but a person would have to do that. Otherwise, you sit on the couch and it's all over.
Right. Well, it's so
No
great. You continue to play drums and you're forming this new band and you got a lot going on. It's awesome.
I like this dude. I like him. I like him a lot, Chris.
Yep.
So
He's
should
a
we ask him
keeper.
some weird and funky questions?
Yeah, definitely. As we're kind of wrapping up here, Ricky. I did think of one though. I'm just thinking now. This isn't a crazy one, but what's your favorite Italian dish?
Oh boy, you put me on the spot, Chris.
Okay.
So if I might, again, I'm not going to wring my hands, but 3 years ago I was diagnosed with celiac disease, which is an allergy to gluten, to wheat products that contain wheat flour.
Right.
So I spent I was age 70, now I'm 75. So I said to the doctor, how do I get this at age 70 when I spent my whole life eating spaghetti and pizza?
Right.
And my mother used to make her own dough and punch it in the bowl and make pizzas when the band people would come over to rehearse at my mother's house. She always made pizzas and she made everything.
Awesome.
So now I had to give all that up because the gluten-free anything is so awful. You'd be better off eating this.
Eating cardboard or that bag. Yeah, exactly. So, put a little salt on that bag and eat that.
Yeah, but I miss all that. Every now and then we will have gluten-free rigatoni or something. It's the sauce. It's the pasta itself, and it's disappointing. But it's like, well, yeah, but it still looks like it's supposed to look. It just doesn't taste like it's supposed to. So, yeah, I'll give it. I won't. But I actually have been able to follow it strictly, a gluten-free diet, and if I might say. Again, if any of the people listening to the podcast or on the chat, if you do your personal maintenance, if you can, you have some form of insurance or you're able to afford to keep up your health, please keep up your health. Don't be a tough guy. Don't say I'm not going, or don't be afraid because you might hear something that's going to alarm you in the future. If you want to be around and you have people that care, if you can manage to do it, please do. You get your oil changed in your car and you buy tires, you might as well take care of yourself too.
There you go.
That's right. Love that attitude.
Yeah.
So I have a question for you, Ricky. You were in the construction field. Why are manhole covers round? You look at him, look at me. Why do you think?
Good question.
Okay.
You would think it would make more sense. Well, some of them are square.
They are?
Yeah. Some of them are square because they hook the ladder on one side and it won't slide when they go down. Some of them have ladders built in, once you get under the street, they're those iron rungs. I don't know. I never worked underground. I was always up in the air.
Well, I didn't even know that about underground, the ladders and the this and the that and the Chris, what do
Yeah,
you think?
Yeah,
Well,
there's a lot of underground what's the word? A lot of the high voltage feeds to buildings in the city are underground, just to keep them from damage, from they're not they're unsightly, and
Yep.
and those there's huge cables like this, so they're down. So some crews in the electric company would work on them down underneath the street. But anyway, I don't know why they're round.
Okay, I'm going to tell you, easy to
What?
manufacture and install. Round covers for round manholes, superior compression resistance,
Oh my God.
easy portability,
He can
and
Google search
superior
things.
safety assurance.
Well, there you go.
So they won't fall through the hole. Okay, perfect. All right, I got another one here. This one, Ricky, this one might be tough, and I don't know. So if you could only choose one song to play every time you walked into a room for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Rain Our Love.
What is it?
Rain Our Love by Golden Earring.
How does that go?
It's actually a classic rock song from the early 70s. The band, I believe, they were from Sweden. And it got popular here right about that time. It's not really a dancing song. It's not really a
What's the
pop
tune?
song.
What's the tune?
You said it's Radar Love. I know that song.
Oh, Radar Love.
Yeah.
Radar Love. No,
That's right.
Yep.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Oh,
That's-
okay.
It's
Okay.
and
Is there a
it's,
reason you like that song?
I'm sorry.
Is there a reason you like that song? Why do you love that
Yeah,
song?
it's got a challenging drum part,
Okay.
Ah.
Cool.
and
Radar
in fact,
Love.
that's part of our set Outsiders show.
We gotta go listen
Most
to these
recently.
guys. Yeah.
I know. Yeah, and
Radar Love.
if you ever need me to fill in for the vocals, just let me know if like your singer can't make it. I can swing in there, bail you guys out, take you to the next level.
We'd have to be able to afford to get you down from Vermont.
Yeah, I come for free, Ricky. I come for free.
Okay.
So
Don't let him near your
Uh,
drums, though. He'll be using his spoons, and I don't know about all
Yeah,
that. So
yeah.
thank you so much, Ricky. You've
Yeah,
been
Ricky, it was
so
awesome.
wonderful. We're gonna
So
have to
great.
wrap it up. I could talk to you all day.
I know. Fantastic. But thank you so much for being on our show. Really appreciate it. I hope you had fun.
I did. I enjoyed talking to you both. It was very pleasant and humorous, and again, I hope I didn't get too emotional.
You were perfect.
Just never.
You were
Just
you.
be
I
yourself.
loved
That's
it.
what it's all about. It was awesome.
Okay, so we have a little
So-
outro here. Go
Right.
ahead.
So Lizzo, if someone wants to follow us on social media, where do they go?
Well, we have a Facebook and Instagram page, CMT for Me Podcast.
That's
And our
right.
official website is www.podpage.com/CMT for Me, and find out more info on cmtausa.org.
Is that backslash or forward slash?
I don't know. It's just a slash, whatever.
It's forward slash, dude.
Okay.
Not backslash.
I don't know what the difference
Okay.
is.
It goes like this is forward.
Whatever.
not back.
Whatever. Come on. Let's go.
Right. Okay. To our listeners, do you have a good story? Would you like to tell your story on our CMT for Me podcast? Either write to us at info@cmtausa.org and pitch your idea, or go to our new website, www.podpage.com/CMT for Me.
Also, don't forget to leave us a review, a stellar review, so we can reach more folks and people get to know about us. And one way to leave a review is to go to Apple Podcasts or leave a review wherever you listen to your podcasts.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to say pod page. That's like the hardest word to say.
Pod page. I know. Just awful.
Pod page. So many places to listen to our podcast, Lizzo. You can listen to this podcast, CMT for Me, on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Buzzsprout, and write a review as reference and share these episodes with your friends. So
you can find out more about the Outsiders here. So it's The Outsiders usalive.com. Is that right, Ricky?
Nice.
Exactly right. And yeah, we welcome the visits to our page. Real quick, if I might plug that.
Yeah.
We have some video there, some promotional video, some still pictures from our last concert. We have some merchandise as usual, and some also, if anybody is interested, there's a big article about the Outsiders on the Wikipedia.
Oh, nice.
That started from the very beginning and carried up pretty much up to current, about the former members that had come and had gone and had sued each other and this and that and the other. So
all right.
It's quite a story. But anyway, yeah, it's www.theoutsidersusalive.com.
Right.
Wonderful.
On. Couldn't have been said better.
That's right. I should have let him just do the whole ending.
I know.
I'm like,
all right,
US,
so let's listen to those tunes. Let's listen to those tunes.
US,
right on.
Yeah. US Alive or USA Live, however you want to say it.
Got it.
Well, thanks so much, folks. And we are going to play his song.
Here we go.
Right now. Boom.
Yep. We just have to fill it in there. Okay. Ricky, awesome. Thank you so much. Enjoy your evening.
So hold on. I just
want
to do one thing, Chris.
What's that? Yo.
So at the beginning, I just wanted to say, take it away, Ricky, or something like that. So we're all on the phone, like at the beginning. So we're all right here, like at the beginning. Yeah. So you were pretending to play the drums on the table.
Right. And I'm going to record that and I'll get that in. Correct. Why don't you just say, take it away, Ricky, and then he'll.
Okay.
Right. And then Ricky can record, send us in the recording, and that'll be the lead in. Okay.
Well, Chris, you should hear this guy, Ricky, play his drums. Take it away, Ricky.
There we go. Okay.
So we're going to mishmash that, cut this.
We'll feed that into the podcast. But if you can just do, have Lois just take a little video or something, short drumming, and send that to, have her send that to Lizzo. All right, we'll feed it into the podcast.
Disappointed that it didn't pick up any sound.
I know. I don't know. Right.
I don't know. So we have to do Chris's, but that's okay. We'll still get your video. We'll still get your. So have her video you, and then we'll stick it in the podcast. And the way our producer will do it, it'll be like we actually did it during the. You won't even notice. So.
Okay, and you'll be able to. If it's too long, you'll be able to fade it out.
Yeah. Just play. Just go have fun.
Okay.
And all right. So, Chris, you might have to run. I just want to catch up with Ricky here just for a second, just to tell him who's going to contact him, unless you want to. Oh, yeah.
Great. All right, Ricky. Adios.
Bye, Chris.
Okay, later. Thanks. That was awesome. So bye.
Bye.
You should say ciao.
Ciao. I know. We should have said that. Thank you so much. So we have this woman that helps us with our podcast. So she'll be reaching out to you. You are going to go on this month as soon as we get this all together. She'll give you that date, and she's going to write an email to you and ask them some photos of you so we can promote you. Okay. And she might ask you for some other stuff. I don't know what, but and then you put it on your stuff and we'll put it out there. I'm also going to invite you to a podcast interviewee group that we have on Facebook. Just the people that have been on the podcast are there, so they get to know one another and they get to help spread the word about the podcast and meet everybody that comes in and does a new podcast. And you were wonderful.
Oh, thank you for saying that.
You're such a soft-spoken, wonderful, strong man. I met really, really great. Thank you so much for opening up. That's what we needed.
Oh, thank you, Elizabeth. I've done a lot of internet radio interviews about the music part of it, and a lot of times it's fluff, but it was very enjoyable to me, and you and Chris are very genuine people, and I do appreciate you even asking me. Thank you.
Oh, well, thank you. And we've been trying to get in touch with you for a while. And so I'm glad you wrote in. And I know that you know Gina and you know Bob DeRosa? No? He's from New Jersey, but he's also Italian. And he reminds me a lot of you.
Oh.
Big heart. And same kind of, so I'll have to get you in touch with him. Anyway,
Sure.
we'll stay in touch. I'll give you all that information. But thank you so much. You were so genuine and heartfelt. And I know people are going to really love your podcast.
Thank you, Liz.
All right. So get Lois to like video you. Okay.
Okay. We send it by
Yeah, I think you
if
can
it's
do it by email if it's not
by
too
email,
long. Yeah, if whatever's
not too
easiest
long.
for you.
Okay. And I
Okay.
have send it to your email address.
Yes, that's right.
I can do it. Thanks, dear.
Thank you. Talk to you soon. Be good.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay.